It was a horrible trade. And Nico Harrison is trying to find ways to fix or clean up the mess that he created. He created this mess. I don't know why the Mavericks organization didn't fire him after this move. And maybe they did have something to do with it. Maybe they're trying to get that casino, or maybe they're trying to move to Vegas, as there has been stories coming out that that's what they're shifting to. Maybe to move Dallas, and maybe obviously bring an expansion team over there to Dallas again and call them Dallas Mavericks. It doesn't make any sense to trade away one of the top 3 players in the league for a bag of balls. And I say a bag of balls because Anthony Davis is 31 years old. He looks like he's on a tail end of his career, and nobody else. What did you swap first-round draft picks and add in another player? Look what the Knicks had to trade for Mikal Bridges. The Knicks had to trade 5 first-round draft picks, 4 unprotected draft picks. And that's every other year, because that's the way the NBA has created these stupid rules as far as keeping and controlling your draft stock. To me, the NBA needs to clean this up. There should be no unprotected and protected picks. Because to me right now, the Knicks would get the Washington Bullets or whatever, the Washington Wizards first-round draft pick, which probably goes number 1 this year because they're the worst team in the NBA. Nevertheless, if the Knicks, if that actually counted and it wasn't unprotected, I would say this protected, unprotected situation, if that wasn't protected, the Knicks would have the number 1 pick. But the NBA is creating ways to keep their players on other teams, and the Lakers obviously are a known commodity. They're one of the more popular NBA teams, very much followed by many NBA fans. And to me, it makes me sick because LeBron James gets what he wants. Whatever LeBron James wants, he gets. And Luka Doncic was the meal ticket for a team like the Lakers to advance into the playoffs and possibly go to the NBA championship games. But I will sit here and tell you the truth about this. Nico Harrison was told to trade Luka Doncic. It had nothing to do with his conditioning. It had everything to do with the organization trying to find ways where they can get this casino over there in Dallas, or maybe move to Las Vegas. I think there's a reasoning behind it, and fans are not going to go to the games, and they're not going to be able to sell tickets. It has nothing to do with injuries. I don't know why anybody's sitting there and saying, well, look, I listened to Stephen A. Smith the other day, and he said, listen, if Dallas was 100% healthy with Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, this team is a contender. Really? Are you serious? Are you really going to sell that to any NBA fan? The honest to God truth is this team was a contender last year. They were in the finals with the team that they had and with the roster that they had. You move Luka Doncic to the Lakers, that automatically makes them the number 1 team to come out of the West. I don't care about what OKC has done. OKC is a great young team. They're still a team that has to figure it out. And until they get to the finals, they're always going to be trying to climb that ladder to get over to the other side. And right now they haven't done it, so I'm not going to bet on them. Golden State, obviously, they're working their way into the playoffs and hopefully get the opportunity to do what I believe they're going to do and take their team to the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers. But we'll see what happens. The fact is, LeBron James got what he wanted. This is LeBron James's league. It's always about LeBron James. And if you sit here today and you wonder why Nico Harrison traded Luka Doncic, is because LeBron James wanted it. LeBron James didn't want Anthony Davis there. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. They won a championship in a year where it was COVID time. They were playing in a bubble in front of no fans. And we all know about players that play well with fans and don't play well without fans. So Julius Randle being one of them. Julius Randle did not play. He played well without fans and couldn't really play very well in the big game in front of a ton of fans. So, and it's been a big problem for the New York Knicks over the years. They have great players or, top-end players that couldn't get over the hump. And I could say the same right now. If you sit here and you're trying to wonder where the Mavericks are going to go this year, no matter where the Mavericks go, and I don't know where they're going to go, the fact is, doing this and making this trade sets this team back for another 10 years. You have a transitional player that's going to help your team be a contender for the next 10 to 15 years, and then you trade him away at the age of 25 in the prime of his career. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. And that says a lot about Nico Harrison. And if Nico Harrison has his job at the end of this season, that tells me one thing. It had nothing to do with Nico Harrison. It had everything to do with ownership on why Luka Doncic is no longer a Dallas Maverick. During the playoffs, he played almost 45, 46 minutes. And he has some of the best numbers we've seen a player have since Michael Jordan.
With the second or third highest usage rate in the NBA.
Just think about it. And Manny's right. By the way, Manny's giving us a little post. The best player right now in the league is Jokic. Jokic, is he the most well-conditioned player right now in the NBA?
But nobody ever says anything about him.
No, because he's great, and so is Luka. I mean, What does Luka have to do? What does he have to be? He's got to be LeBron James. He's not LeBron James. And by the way, he's better than LeBron James. He's the best player on that team. It makes no sense. 15-9 with Luka Doncic on that roster, with Luka on that roster during those games. So, and they're 9-9 without him, playing in those games. So they're 500 without him, and they're 6 games over 500 with him. And by the way, what are they? The 3rd seed in the Western Conference with him on that roster? If you remember, Dallas last year, going into the playoffs, I think they were a 4th or 5th seed.
They were a 5 seed, yeah.
So they were a 5th seed, and they went all the way to the finals. They're now a 3rd seed right now, going into the playoffs. What do you guys expect from this guy? I expect him to put up 30 to 35 points a game. I expect him to give you about 7 rebounds a game. He's going to give you probably around 4 to 5 passes a game. And he's pretty good defensively. As much as everybody says he can't play defense, he's not a good defender. Last year when he needed to defend, he defended. Ask Anthony Edwards.
He only really struggled in the finals defensively.
Yeah, look what they did defensively against Anthony Edwards in the Timberwolves, who were one of the more prolific offensive teams going into the playoffs, and what they did to the Nuggets in the second round. And they absolutely went back and forth with them and looked like they were going to destroy him until, obviously Jokic put on a clinic. But nevertheless, they beat the NBA champions, who, by the way, fired their coach this past year with 3 or 4 games left of the season, which makes no sense. And why? I believe because of Luka Doncic. That trade screwed everything up in the Western Conference. Look how many coaches were obviously fired at the end of the season. And 3 of those teams make the playoffs. All three of those. The Grizzlies fired their coach. Are they in the playoffs? Yes. We just talked about, obviously, the Nuggets that won a championship 2 years ago. They fired the coach. Who was the other one?
Sacramento did earlier this year.
Sacramento, who's a borderline playoff team too. But there was another Western Conference team that fired one of their coaches that were a bona fide playoff team.
Yeah, we're going to talk about them in a bit.
Yeah, so to me, I just think you sit here and you wonder what the Western Conference is doing in the NBA now. And I think it has a lot to do with Luka Doncic and the Lakers. The LJA is running the association right now, and they're expected to come out of the Western Conference. And anybody, including Keith, that doesn't believe it, boy, oh boy, you guys are going to be surprised when I'm laughing to the bank. I should put a bet on it. Bring him in, Speedy. Bring Mr. Fisherman in. I definitely got to hear his take on this, because I think it's absolutely pathetic. And I'm not going to sit here and wonder what the Lakers are going to be making it and making as a 3rd seed in the Western Conference. And I expect them to absolutely put on a clinic with Luka Doncic and LeBron James 100% healthy.